Hi everybody, my name is Jens Larsen. I first became aware of Adam Rogers when he was working as a sideman with Michael Brecker, and also later when he was playing with Chris Potter in Chris Potter Underground. He's done some amazing work with these two. That's really something you want to check out. In this video I'm going to take a look at some phrases from one of his own albums, because I'm going to take a look at the solo from Beautiful Love, and that's from an album he did with Clarence Penn and John Patitucci called Side, where they're playing mostly standards. This solo is a great example of how Adam Rogers is using triplets in his playing, and there are examples of how he's really using the triplets as a standalone subdivision, so not just to play the occasional arpeggio, but really also just as something you can make interesting rhythms with. And of course, in doing that, he's also playing some triplet groupings and some polyrhythms. And besides that, he's also using some diminished scale and some upper structure triads. And all the examples are actually 2-5-1 examples, so you can also just check out the video and then learn some new 2-5-1 licks. If you want to learn more about jazz guitar, improve the way that you solo, check out some interesting arpeggios or chord voicings, then subscribe to my channel. If you want to make sure not to miss anything, then click the little bell notification icon next to the subscribe button. This example starts on the 2-5-1 in F major at the beginning of the solo. So this is in bar, it kind of comes in bar 4, and then the main example starts in bar 5. The first part is really just aiming for the 5th in the G minor chord, so that's aiming for that D. And he does that with a chromatic enclosure, so, and the D is out on the 1. Then he just sustains this note, and then he aims for the 13 on the C7, so the A, and that's just a scale one, so. Then from here he moves into a phrase that's coming out of the diminished scale, so out of a C7 diminished scale, and he's using an A major triad. So first he just runs up from the B flat to the flat 9 to the D flat. So if you want to think of this in A major terms, then that's a C sharp, of course, but on a C7 it's a flat 9, so it's a D flat. And then down the A major triad, and then from here chromatically from A down to the G, and the G is on the 1 on the F major, and then ending on the 6 of F major. And then from here, the next part is a 2-5, like a quick 2-5 to D minor, and that's actually just the beginning. He starts on B3 with these 3 notes, and then he goes into a scale pattern. So first this run on the starting on the A7 and coming out on the D minor. Same idea, but then move down, and then continuing, and then it moves to G minor, and here he's using an upside down triplet, or it's like a quarter note triplet that's shifted 1 8th note triplet, and that's just a B flat major triad coming out on the A, and then a C and an A. What you can take away from an example like this, I think, is that you can really use triplets as a subdivision that you improvise with. So it's not only there to play your bebop triplets, it's also there as a subdivision that you can play all sorts of rhythms with, but you want to check them out. And you can hear how Adam Rogers is really using patterns that are not starting on the beat and ending on the beat. So he has these, for instance, these kind of patterns are not really trying to sound like this is triplets or anything. They're just rhythms that are happen to be using that subdivision, and you can also work on using that. So the first thing you want to do is probably to make sure that you don't sound too much like an Irish jig, which is of course there to sound like dance music and all the time spell out the beat. But you of course do want to know your triplets. So start with just playing something like this. The next thing you want to be able to do is probably just to try and take the same tempo maybe, and then play the quarter note triplets. So that would be, and then you can take out the upside down triplets, which is also what he's using on the G minor. So Another thing you can start working with and getting into your system is how each of those different triplets sound. So of course you already know how the beat sounds. But you can also have the triplets that are the second triplet, so the one that's right after the beat. And of course the last one, which is sort of the swing 8 note. So just exploring this and getting this into your system and then trying to play lines with these triplets is really something that can open up your playing rhythmically and give you a complete new dimension beyond the 8 note field that we normally use in jazz. This example is at the end of the first half of the form, and it's on a 2-5 back to D minor, even though of course when we're starting on the second half of the form it's not resolving to D minor, it's resolving to another 2-5 to D minor. And the reason why I'm including this one is that Adam Rogers is playing triplets in groups of 4 notes, and this is a very useful thing to check out, and it's also definitely something you want to have in there if you want to start working with the 8 note triplets. So of course the triplets themselves are naturally in groups of 3 notes. So if we use the example from before, so and playing them in groups of 4 notes gives you a pattern that's gonna shift on top of the meter. So instead of having, you get this, and it's then changing on top. And that's what Adam Rogers does here. He even takes a little bit further, because normally when you do this, or at least most of the time when you hear this being used, it's starting on the heavy beats, and it's of course also going to come out on the heavy beats. But actually here he starts it on the 2, so he doesn't start on the 1. And then the pattern that he's playing, he's actually not thinking the 2 chord, he's just playing the 5 chord all the time. And the first part is just this run up an A major triad, but with a leading note, so we get these notes. The first notes are really, really soft, so that's also why I've written them in brackets. And then from here he continues that pattern with this going up to the sharp 9, and then starting on the 5th up to the 3rd here, and then he's played that, then he ends there. So this is kind of coming out, it's not resolving on a strong beat, again it's quite free rhythmically, and then he concludes it with a short scale run out of the D harmonic minor scale, which is just running down from E, so, and then from there continues into the second half of the first chorus. The reason I can keep on publishing videos every week is that I have a community of people that are supporting the channel over on Patreon. I don't think it would be possible for me to make all these quite specific jazz guitar videos without their support. And if you want to help me keep making videos, then check out my Patreon page. If you join us over on Patreon, I can also give you something in return for your support. The phrase starts with a pickup. So first a scale run from E up to G, and then there's nothing on beat 1, but then on beat 2 he starts sort of a scale motif. So the first thing is just the A, skipping down to E and then up the scale, back up to the A, and then I think you get sort of a motivic idea out of this, because he goes up to the B flat, but then skips down to C, and then down, then up to F, up to the C sharp, so really emphasizing the dominant sound. From here he's using sort of the diminished sound on the A7, so using an F sharp major triad, which is just descending, skipping up, and then playing the same exact triad, but now F. So he's kind of resolving, and I think this is actually across the bar line, so I think he's actually resolving the dominant already in the A7 bar. There are quite a few examples of him playing across the bar line in this solo, and he is quite free with that as well, so I think that's what's happening. And also because if you have to think of this as being an A7, then it gets really complicated, I think. So making a slight alteration, so, and then really targeting the 5th of D minor, skipping up to the 3rd, down to the C, and then the A, and then we get this really subtle quote from Eleanor Rigby. I'm sure he doesn't mean to play it as a quote from Eleanor Rigby, but it just sounds like it. If you want to check out another contemporary jazz guitar player, then check out this video where I'm analyzing some phrases from Kurt Rosenwinkel's solo on Nefertiti, which is a Wayne Shorter composition. There's a lot of melodic minor and modern jazz language in that solo. If you want to learn more about jazz guitar and it's the first time you see one of my videos, then subscribe to my channel. If you want to help me keep making videos, then check out my Patreon page. That's about it for this time. Thank you for watching, and until next time.